We don't have to add music.
All right, you guys.
Don't worry about it. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
Well, they can hear us now.
I apologize,
Oh.
Matt.
No, you're good.
It's okay. It's the beginning.
Oh, shit. Oh.
The Hair Healer podcast music. I'm not sure if this is going to be the music for the live show, but here we are. Oh my God, there we are. There I am. I can see you. So, okay, so now we're starting, right? Everyone that's listening, this is my first live show, and the Hair Healer podcast is live, and so I'm not fully prepared yet. If you can see, I don't have anything cute behind me, just this yellow wall. And again, this is exactly how I started my first ever podcast episode 13 months ago, 14 months ago, and it was also with David Wurtzel. So I knew that, look, I already went out. On my live, the camera went out.
The cat.
The cat. Hold on. So you can't see me yet if you're listening, but I got these two cats, 1111. This is Mercury retrograde, and the one cat just jumped up and hit the wire. So
The cat.
the cat, they're like worse than babies, honestly.
No.
Oh, there I
Wait,
am.
Laura.
And here's the cat. Oh, there I go again.
I
Oh,
don't see you.
I know. I'm going. Can you? If it. I don't think anyone's watching yet, so.
I don't see you at all on my thing.
I know the camera got the cat like knocked out the camera.
I didn't even see you in the beginning, though.
Oh yeah, you won't see me, but I can see you.
Oh, so I won't see you the whole time.
The whole time, yeah. Unfortunately, you won't see me the whole time.
Oh, that's a bummer. I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either,
Oh,
but
man.
again, it won't be like that forever.
Oh, okay.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's like a glory hole.
It is a. I'm still not. Oh, there I am again. Here's the cat. Can you fix that? This cat. Can you put this cat somewhere? 11. This is 11. Hi. They're like very mystical beings, but they're honestly they torture me. And I got little fake nails to put in their claws. Okay, so now we're back. So the Hair Healer podcast intro just took a sudden Mercury retrograde turn. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. As I was talking about, this is my first live ever in 2021. I'm going to be going live. The Hair Healer podcast will be going live, and I wanted to bring my good friend David Wurtzel on, and I wanted to do tonight, the night before the election, not to talk about politics or anything like that, but I think there's a lot of energy going right now, and a lot of people are feeling scared and anxious, and sort of just to bring some hope, some positivity, some mindset, some spiritual resilience. Now, David Wurtzel, he is the creator and CEO, right, of the First 20.
CEO.
CEO. So can you explain to everyone all about you and your road to resilience?
Oh, wow. You just gave me a lob, right? That's the first question, right? Okay.
I know.
Well, where do you want me to start? With the first 20?
Yeah, tell everyone a little bit about who you are in the First 20.
Sure. So my name is David Wurtzel. So again, the founder of the First 20. So I had been working as a firefighter for about a decade, and I started to look at. Actually, it was probably longer than that when I started it, but I realized there was a lot of problems going on that was facing firefighters, like neck up and neck down, psychological or physiological, psychological, and really for me, like I'm the guy that the fire service gave me everything. I was one of those lost human beings, and I found myself in the fire service as a man, as a person.
You were a lost soul before you got there.
What's that?
You were a lost soul before you got there?
I was a lost soul, but just a seeker, wanderer, like not finding where I belong. And when I got there, like everything came together. I found a community that was supportive, and that was everything. It was a supportive community, and it helped me believe in me. And really, the parts of myself I didn't know, like I thought I could do these things. I wasn't sure, but like it allowed me to dig into places that were unknown to myself and be like, wow, I can do these things. I can like transcend like these internal barriers in my brain, like the negative self-talk and all the things that you think you're not to the things that you hope you can be, and that's what the fire service gave me. Um, and so I felt this obligation to give back. And when I found out about all these problems, so I went online looking for a workout.
You
And when
did?
I didn't find a workout, I found these problems. I was like,
What kind
it's
of problems?
ridiculous. Um, PTSD
Yeah.
PTSD rates that are 5 times the national average.
Wow.
5 times. As bad as we have it, first responders have it 5 times worse.
Wow.
Um, the rates of heart attacks are the biggest killer of firefighters in terms of line of duty deaths. Like there's a 300% greater chance of heart disease
Wow. Just from
than
stress,
any.
right?
What's that?
Just from all the stress and the trauma and not processing it or not knowing how to process it, because that's one of the things you
Well,
do is
that's
teach how to process it.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely part of it. I don't know, and I think where everybody, it's like the processing point is. I think we just don't know how to not only process the stress, but what's our program, a maintenance day to day program for us to stay kind of neck up and neck down, like in the game. And, for firefighters and for, if you work with police officers as well, is that there's a different end game. There's a layer of stress that comes with the game that's just worse than the general population. So having a formalized program to off gas what's going up here and keep neck up, want to keep this healthy, neck down, keep that healthy as well, and give them one place to go. So anyway, that's where I kind of started everything. I started this nonprofit. It's like, hey, well, we should be able to figure something out here that helps firefighters a bit, and there was really nothing out there when I started.
What made you
So
start it? Was it just like you saw your fellows, people around you struggling with this stuff and you just like knew how to help that, how you got out of it yourself? Like when did you really realize you wanted to start this?
no, I didn't. It was funny. It wasn't. I think looking back on it, the thing about life, you live it going forward, but it only makes sense when you look at it like looking backwards.
Yeah.
I think I was looking for a process for myself, to be quite honest. I think I was struggling mentally. I was starting to get out of shape, but it wasn't the neck down stuff; it was the neck up stuff that was really troubling me. And um, I didn't have a program. I didn't have a process for me. Uh, I everybody had it bad. I think you go back, I'm 54, and when I go back to like my generation even today, though, but I think a big majority of the population growing up is tough, man. So everyone's had it tough. Some people had it real tough. And I was somewhere closer to the real tough, but not quite there.
They're not quite there.
A lot of abuse, a lot of crazy things as a
Wow.
kid. They stick with you. You don't. Again, there's no program. There's
Let
no
me ask
way.
you something. When did those things that happened when you were a kid, when did they come back up into you in your life? Like when did you realize, oh, wait, I actually got to heal kind of some of this?
Well, as I started doing this program, it was a big thing. Like I would learn something, I was like, oh snap, like whoa, okay. So as I started taking a deeper dive um, in the program, that's when I became very aware of what was happening in me. And then there was a time, it was about 13 years ago. I was like, you know what? Like when I would get upset, I felt like other stuff was in that space that didn't need to be there. I wasn't beating people up or incredible hulking and doing crazy stuff, but like I was way more upset than I needed to be. And I was like, I don't want to imprint this on my kids.
Wow.
So I went to see a guy for anger management.
Oh,
It was a court mandated, like real deal dude. Because I asked him, my wife's one of her friends was a social worker.
I actually never knew this. All the years of doing you and your family's hair, I never knew that.
Yeah, so I went to see this guy, Paul Bukovic. He's no longer there, but he's the guy when you go to court and they're like, "You got a problem, dude. You got to go see this guy." So it was really cool because growing up here and there, I saw a therapist or whatever, and I always felt like whatever, it's just these guys don't know me. And this guy went right down the list, like, and it was really interesting. Within a half hour, I mean, this guy was peering into my soul and just real Philly straight ahead, like with a smile on his face, really nice the whole time, but brought me face to face with all my problems. And were you ever physically abused? I was like, yeah. No, were you sex abused? Yeah. This, that. And I was going down the list. He's like, huh. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you how you act in certain situations. Just let me know if I'm close. And he brought me face to face with myself. I was like, oh shit.
How did you react? Because some people, when that happens, they instantly get mad and close off and want to hate you, or some people have this like like, oh my God, how did you react to that when you first heard it?
About the same. Like, well, I wanted to go. Like, he was telling me something, but he's doing the smile, and he's like, "How do you feel right now?" I'm like, oddly, like I want to punch you in the face. You're about to get it, dude. But he was really cool, and I don't want to make. And we're friends, and we're still friends. But he like brought me around to like face to face with me that I had buried. But I realized that guy isn't buried. Like, so imagine your life like a car ride. New versions of you get in, but old version of you never get out. And the thing is, at the worst time possible, an old version of you has the wheel. So that's what I was like realizing. And then, and it was there. So now I became aware. Like, I think a bigger part of everything becomes awareness, like AA. Come on, you know.
Of course. Yeah. Spent many years.
I'm Dave, and right. I'm Dave, and I'm an alcoholic. Like, you have to be aware of where you're at. And then that's where the change starts. So I think once I really became fully aware of the depth of this thing and how it gripped me, and I was like, whoa, how it just seeped into everything, every weird place that I became uncomfortable, mad. So it was debilitating for a little bit. I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to go for relief. So so again, that was looking back. So I think when I started this program, I think I was looking for a way to help myself.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
I'll do a workout. Yeah. I'm going to eat right. Yeah. And then you realize it's the software that drives the hardware.
I
So
love
what's
that.
your mindset you're bringing day to day? And I need a mindset that's redemptive. I need a mindset that's going to allow me to heal. And what I realized was when I went back to wanting to become a firefighter, it was the community.
Yeah.
So when I started looking back at all these different things, it was really the people who were supporting me, and it was my community where I'd go backwards for my meaning and purpose was in community. And then what was really, I think the super aha moment was, so I started this nonprofit, we're going, we're creating programming, we're doing this stuff, and I got hired by the Air Force
Oh.
to create the fitness and wellness program for their firefighters, for 15,000 firefighters. So
Oh my
I was a
God.
subject matter expert, years down the road, and they gave me a pile of documents. It had to be legally defensible. Like, read all this shit. So I'm like, I'm reading it, and then I found this document that was issued by the Department of Defense. It's Department of Defense Directive 1010.10 on health promotion, and it said that your health is linked to your community's health. I'm like, okay. But then it said, and your community's health is greatly affected by the collective thoughts, actions, and behaviors of community members. I paused. It didn't say thoughts, actions, behaviors around health. It's like whatever you think, however you think, act, and behave is so profound that it affects the health of others.
Wow.
I paused on that. I was like, holy shit, these guys aren't in the kumbaya business.
No.
You know, they're not like, oh, let's hold hands and be in community. So the Department of Defense says that being in community is so powerful. How I think, it wasn't just how I behave, how I think affects the health of other people. I thought that was really, it kind of blew my mind a lot, and I actually I called in. I was like, this has to be wrong. I remember going up the stream with it. I got a hold of guys.
So you instantly called bullshit.
Yeah, I was like, I got to be reading this thing wrong, because it was one of those, like, I was praying it was right, and like, this is like a nugget of gold for me. So then I really dug deeper, and I dug deeper into the neuroscience of how our brains work, and it all just started to make sense because our brains are connected. The thing is, we look at ourselves as individuals, but we're not.
We're not.
Our brains are connected. Like, relationships are our natural habitat. We're made to be in community. So when you start looking at why community, science says that's our natural flow state.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because that's one of the questions I had tonight. Is right now we're in this crazy COVID stage and we have
Right.
no idea where it's going. Everyone's anxious. And as you said, I remember on the first ever episode I did with you, community, and I agree, is so important. How can people, and how are you creating community right now in a COVID era, right? Through Zoom, through, or, like, how can people create that community right now?
The irony is it's super simple. It's like breathing,
Yeah. Oh.
right? It's like I tell people like if you give me like three things I'd do to be healthy, I was like drink water, breathe, and get some sleep. They're like, come on, like, and I'm like, no, if you just did that all the time, like you'd be a pretty healthy human being. So community is like the same thing. It's like breathing. So how are you in community with somebody? So we talk about it as like the idea of this compassion gratitude exchange. So the easy way how you facilitate it is first of all, I have to see you as part of my community. So it's an intentional action. So I can walk right now 20 feet into my house with my kids, my wife, and everybody be on their device, and I'm just in in a group of people, but we're not in community. There's no intentional action. So it's not what you look at, it's what you see. I got to walk and be like, wait a minute, this is my community. And now I got to act on it. So compassion is just showing somebody kindness, caring, participating in their struggles, their aspirations. How about you smile at somebody, saying hello? You're now in community, like you connect with someone. How was your day? So I do intentional things to like I have a list of people and that I want to connect with and how you doing? Not ask how you doing to like say, oh, okay, but respond, okay, how's your friends, how's your family, your wife, your kids? Like listen to people. And what happens is that's a connection. They feel it. And what oftentimes happens is people reflect in gratitude.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge that, hey man, thanks so much. Somebody's nice to me. I'm gonna be like, hey, thank you. That was super nice. Thanks for inviting me to your home. Thanks for making me a meal. So gratitude works in different ways and different areas, but it's as simple as just being kind to someone, just a simple act of compassion and caring, or reflecting gratitude when it's coming your way.
Yeah. And I
So that's
think
how you do it.
I think especially now too, like I know I'm finding community just at like my local like Wawa, you know what I mean? And talking to like now it's, I go to different places, my stores, and now find I'm spending 10, 15 minutes talking to them. Like that is where one of the ways I've been able to build community right now.
So that's interesting. So scientists or sociologists call it weak ties.
Oh, why?
So
What does that
strong
mean?
ties, pardon me?
What does that mean? The weak tie, my CVS relationships?
Yeah, there's strong ties, which is like immediate family. They're your strong
Yeah.
ties, and then it kind of goes outward. And these weak ties are on the edge, like the hey, I used to go and my hello
I
is
mean,
this
you're
thing.
all
It's
over
like
Narberth.
I'm all over North, but I'm all over. So I used to give my hello to people, like, hey, what's up? And I give them the little, the shaka thing. And there's a whole thing behind it. But one day I was coming in and I go into the Acme and I was kind of dragging. And one of the guys was like, Pat, where he says, like, hey, Dave, hey, how you doing? He starts doing this to me. And I'm like, whoa, shit. Like, this guy's giving it back. And I realized those weak ties, what happens is you're not solving problems. You're often just times like, oh, how you doing? Oh, a little gripe here, a little gripe there. You're
Yeah.
sharing something. Smile, hang in there. And nothing happened. Like they didn't change your day, but that simple exchange just made like your day seem a little lighter.
Wow. Yeah.
So sociologists believe those are really powerful in driving mental health. So man, I'm like old weird Dave. I go into Wawa now. COVID, like I'm a mask on. I was like, yo, what's
Yeah.
up, Gus? My Wawa right here in Montgomery Avenue. My man Gus is in there killing it.
Hey, Gus.
What's up,
Wait.
Gus?
So, what was your story behind this? You said you had a little story behind this, but then the person you met did it back to you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well the whole thing is when I was doing the fire safety thing for my kids, like um, Billy's class in kindergarten. I started doing the fire, like went in my fire gear. I'm like, this is this. And all the
Aw.
kids start doing this to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, like hang loose, Tony, like Sarah, whatever.
Hang
The teacher's like, oh, Mr. Dave, they're not telling you to hang loose. This means they have a connection with you. I was like, oh, what?
Oh, I
Like,
actually never
yeah.
knew that. You got the
So now
connection.
that because little kids will just raise their hand and say anything. My cat is orange. Like they'll say anything just to say something to you.
Yeah.
So all the kids are doing this. So now in our classes, I do this with all the people I'm working with. So I'm talking, just go like this if I'm hitting something that like works for you.
Yeah.
So I go in and I just naturally start doing it to people. And it's funny because they'll do it
Wait, I
back.
think
They
you do
didn't
it
know
all
what
the
it
time
means.
now. Now that I realize, I feel like you do come in the salon and did it all the time. Now yeah, wow.
That's the jam right there. So yeah, so it's pretty interesting. It just so I got it back from this guy is my point. And I realized like whoa, man, like the guys at the gas station, the supermarket, that's what's up, man. And I think it's not about this physical distancing. Is like we can still be connected in the community. There's lots of ways to. I think this Zoom thing is really interesting. People have Zoom fatigue, but I started Zoom with family members, my wife's family on Sundays, and so
Aw.
it's a way to stay connected. And I think now, okay, so we're 6 feet apart, but you can still wave hi to somebody.
Yeah.
And especially this, like we call it, the road sign. Our whole program was the road to resilience, and we want you to be a road warrior. And this is the road sign, and it just shows like a stranger on the road, like I see you,
I see
I see
you.
you, and I'm connected to you.
How can
So
people take the road resilience that are just like going through it right now, just quarantine, not knowing when this is going to end, the emotions, everything? How can they what are some things that they can do that you teach firefighters that they can bring in to their own lives?
we moved beyond firefighters. There's fire, police. Now we're in the general population.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, so the Crow Wing County, Minnesota. What's up, Crow Wing
What's
County brought us up
up?
there.
Hey.
Crow Wing County, shout out. Region 5. So they're bringing us up there, and they're working with the general population, because for us to work with a first responder, we want them to build community at home, at work, and in their neighborhood. Like, all the places you travel are super vital. You can't just have one leg of the stool. So if you're really good at the fire station, really shitty at home, it's not going to work. Or those two places are good, but when you go out in the community, it's toxic.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we got to facilitate all these three places. So it's really simple. Like, our program is predicated on like three basic things. So it's creation, revelation, redemption. I need to create community every day. That's the number one thing.
Create it.
So I got to walk out my door, and we call it the spiritual frontier. So we want to bring our spirituality with us in
Love
our back
that.
pocket. It can't be just left in your church, your synagogue, your mosque, your yoga studio. It's got to be with you.
Everywhere.
So if I walk out my door and I see everything out there is sacred, it's the places and faces, then I'm going to treat them differently.
Wow. I love that.
And yeah, but it's simple. It's a mindset. So it's not about traveling somewhere different. It's not like I gotta wear, certain pants and sneakers and go to a gym. I can wear the same shit I'm wearing,
Yeah.
rock out my door, Philly style, and just be like, "What up?" And I'm in the spiritual frontier. I'm seeing people different, so it's not just what you look at; it's what you see.
Wow.
Um, so
And you get in
creation.
that every time you walk out that door, you hop into that mindset. And I'll say with your
I
Libra self, you really are one of the most disciplined people I know.
Oh, well, as Libras,
Well, you personally, but a lot of Libras, yeah, are very disciplined.
right? Shout out to Libra Mafia.
Shout
What's
out.
up? Um, so but the thing is, now I'm going to walk out. But now, when I walk out the door, so the other thing I will step back and say is, our days don't happen willy nilly. It's not like, oh, I just randomly happen to be here at the Walmart or here at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. Like, you're like, no, I need to go get something. I'm going to get in my car and go. So before you go someplace, take 10 seconds, take a deep breath. Who am I going to see in the other side of that door? How am I going to help them and humanize that person?
Wow.
I want to create and build and repair community wherever I go. And it's super simple, but I just put it here real fast. Couple deep breaths, set myself, and I'm in. Every appointment happens in my phone. So I look at my phone before I get on the phone. Hey, Colleen, what's she dealing with, man? There's some stuff. Everybody's going through some stuff. Let me
Yeah.
think about her for a second.
Wow.
Creation. We want to separate action and reaction. I want to pause. I want to see you as part of my community. And the biggest thing is create an obligation towards it.
In what
So
way?
that's what we do in our programming.
Oh,
People are like, hey, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I'm like, are you? Like, how do you do it? Like, I'm just nice to people. Are you just nice to people, or only the people you like?
yeah, right?
It's a big deal right now,
Big deal right now.
right? If you're a Democrat, you hate Republicans. If you're a Republican, you hate Democrats. I'm like, that's a problem.
Yeah, because there's a lot
We'll
of
talk
hate.
about that. So the revelation part is just what we're talking about. Like, all of a sudden, I take an intentional action, meaning intentional. Like, I'm going to meet this person in community. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to ask 5 people, and I walk through the acting. I'm going to get their names so I know who they are. And every time I'm in there, I'm going to try to remember the names. I'm going to see Donna. I'm going to see Pat. I'm going to see Eleanor. I'm going to say Donna,
I
Pat, and
love that.
Eleanor. Hey
Donna
man,
Pat.
how you doing? And they're like, hey Eleanor. And I'm like, oh man, hey Dave. Like, thanks for remembering my name. Like that's kind of, they said the
Wow.
littlest thing. So now what happens is exchange happens. And again,
An
I'm not
energy
solving world
exchange.
politics. What's that?
I said an energy exchange right there.
And then it's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So our brains are connected. We need each other. I honestly think we can't get out. We can't relieve ourselves, our malevolent forces. We need others to help us unlock those parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
So when I go in there, the Donna, Eleanor, and Pat, they help me.
Aw.
So them saying hello to me, also I'm like, oh man, I just feel a little bit better. And now I take that energy and I take it into the next transaction, and the next transaction. Guess what happens? I'm going to meet someone who's not having a good day. I'm going to meet someone in line who's not so nice, right? And now this important thing, nobody ever grows up saying they want to be an asshole when they grow up.
That's right.
So instead of me being like, but you stink, and now it's all about me, and so their bad attitude now becomes about me. And now I'm like, whoa, man, this person is suffering.
Yeah.
So I want to be like, man, I'm sorry. I was in front of you. I'm like, sure were, man. Why don't you get in front of me? Go ahead, that's fine. Or, and what I oftentimes find what happens, as soon as I'm nice to someone who's bad, who's just a jerk, they totally, like, oh man, we're sorry about that. Like, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
But if you lean into it in Philly, you'll get it back tenfold. That's where the shit goes wrong.
That is
Right?
where that goes wrong. That is.
So,
Have you
yeah,
ever
right.
yelled? So I guess prior to anger management, though, Dave, right? Because you have a story to teach this, would have been like when you see someone online, that and F you, right? Like, is that how your anger would? Because you can teach this because you once were that angry person in line telling everyone to F off.
Yeah, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I'm still that angry guy right now.
Right now?
Okay.
Because everything going
So,
on, there's a lot of hate.
yeah, well, I think what happens is like that's who I am. Like I got these issues and they're always going to come up. So I got to pay real close attention because the problem is with my brain, I don't remember Eleanor or Pat or Donna. I might not remember their name, but my brain will remember every shitty thing Eleanor, Pat, or Donna ever did to me. Your brain doesn't forget. That's
Yeah.
how you're programmed. You can't, it's just how it goes beneath the surface.
So we can
So
reprogram that, right?
if we actively push against it, it's called neuroplasticity, and I think everybody's heard about it by now. So you can rewire those connections. I'm like, I don't have to believe the hype my brain is telling me. There's you and your brain, and they're not kind of going in the same direction. And we could talk more about that later and how it affects you in other ways.
Yeah.
But like my proclivity, when somebody just jumps in my face with a finger, I want to be mad. And I'm like, ooh, I got to catch myself. But I've learned I can. I don't catch myself all the time. Like I lose my temper like anybody else does.
And I
I'm
think
like, shit.
and I think that's important too to say, and me too, because sometimes as we walk a spiritual life, people often hold you on a pedestal or think you should be perfect. But the thing is, it's always evolving, and it's about learning these character. I guess from my many years of being in a fellowship, defects. So I don't like the word defects. It just becomes less and less, but it still can trigger, right? Life is about forever evolving, not being perfect. But again, so I always like to
Yeah.
say that because then people will love when you do mess up to throw it in your face, like, oh, I thought you were this. I thought you were a healer. I thought you blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. So it's
Right.
important. Guess what, everyone listening? We all make mistakes. Everyone, and you're all going to fuck up. And I'm going to hurt people, and people are going to hurt me.
Right. I think that's because we're human.
We're human.
So I never say I'm evolved. I said I'm the
Evolving.
saints or the sinners that keep on trying. Like I'm
Oh, I love
trying
that.
hard.
Yeah.
So I'm trying my damnedest to really be a better person. But what happens is I find that like in terms of wins and losses, I have a winning record now as opposed to a losing record. I'm not winning them all. There's some some things I'm like, dang, that just got the best of me. But now, like being a person of character, I want to be responsible for my actions. Like if something goes wrong, like my wife, my kids, I'm like, hey man, that wasn't cool what I said to you right there. I just got way too upset, and I want to come back and apologize. So where I can, I'll go back and repair. Like if me and a driver are on the road and we give each other the finger, I can't go back to that driver. Like, I'm
I
going to
know,
take that
right?
back.
Yeah.
That's gone. But I have whack interactions with people, and I try to be like, yo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be that upset, but I'm still angry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but I just think you can take responsibility for it because we're human, and that's how you kind of move on from that thing.
That is how you move
So
on.
yeah, that you move on. So so the last part of the whole thing is the redemption. So creation, revelation, redemption, like the whole thing is, and it's how our brains are designed to work. I can't free myself of my shadow. I can't get away from my crappiness. I'm like, as much as I want, that's part of me. And I'm like, I've come to be like, okay, cool. Like Hulk Dave he's an okay dude as well.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't mean to be there. But the redemption is when I'm more in touch with what I love than what I'm afraid of, my anger, my fear, like I crossed boundaries in myself. So
Wow.
there's times I do the right thing. It doesn't feel like super great. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna wait till I'm gonna do the right thing, but like I do it, and I'm transformed. I'm
Wow.
like that. I'm like, I can be the person I want to be. I catch glimpses of that guy a lot more often than I did before. So that's where this whole idea is this transformative ideology because we can cross boundaries in ourselves. We can work against the negative thoughts and the
It's a lot of
malevolent
work.
forces that are again. It's a lot of work,
It's worth it.
but at the same time, it's not. It's just a lot of it. It's really, I say, it's a lot of attention. If attention for you is work, then it's a lot of work.
That
You don't
I
got to
have
lift weights.
ADHD, so
What's
I
that?
have ADHD, so attention can be very
Yeah,
hard depending, you know what I mean, disciplined and trying
yeah,
to work through that. But
yeah. No, amen. I got ADD as well, or ADHD, whatever it's called.
but I need some of
Um,
your discipline. I don't have that.
Well, I put everything in my phone. Like my phone goes off and I send messages to myself on like weird messages. Like my family, we were all in the same, we got our phones all got linked at one point. Everybody started getting my weird messages. Like, what are these things? Like today's the day you die. I'm like,
Wait,
what
hold
did you
on.
just send
Wait.
me?
What were your messages?
Well, I'll send myself something from like this is Dave from the future telling you to like shut up or don't take life so seriously or
I love that.
you,
I love that
you
actually.
know, but just so basically I have a lot of reminders that pop up on my phone like, hey, take a deep breath, dude. It's okay. Uh
It's a good
Go tell
idea.
your wife you love her.
Aw.
The other thing I do is it's the obligation. So I don't want to get all teary, and I might even do it, but
Shout out
like
Mona. Love your wife.
shout out Mona, shout out Mona, shout out my mom, shout out my
Shout out Mona.
dad, shout out my
Aw.
sister. Who's so like who are you doing it for?
Mm.
So every day I'm like, I get up in the morning, I'm like, so I'm doing it for this person. My gratitude is for this person, and today I'm doing it for that person. I don't want to let that person down. So just finding myself, grounding myself back to the gratitude thing. Like I didn't just pop out of here, out of the ethereal. Like somebody helped me be here. I have friends. My shout out to my man Ken Helgerson.
Hey Cam.
Jeff Jernlin, um, who helped me be the guy I want to be every day.
Wow. How
So
did he
I'm doing
help
it for
you?
those guys. What's that?
How did he help you be that guy?
Well, they support me. They help Dave be the best Dave he could be. And then when Dave turns shitty, which happens, they're like, don't worry about it, dude. We all lose it.
Aw.
So they're supportive, like the good Dave and bad Dave, but they're also guys that work hard to be the best them they can be. They're great role models, and I think it all becomes reflective. So it's a social contagion.
It's a
Who are
social
you
contagion.
surrounding yourself with?
What's
You just
that
want to
one
be surround yourself
saying?
with people who are
Sorry, what's that one saying? I mean, I don't know. It's something about the five. You'll always be the five people you spend the most time around. I think that's the
yeah, I
saying.
think that's it. Show me how far. If you want to know how far someone's going to go, show me the five people they hang around, or
Yes.
something like that. So that's it. Like, so I create an obligation to it for other people. Ultimately, I want it to be an obligation for myself. I want it to be. I got to do this because if I'm empowered, my community's empowered, and the other transforming part is my job. I mean, to help people and be like, dude, like watching it really work.
Yeah.
And in our classes, we have a little, it gets a little more formalized and very much more structured about how we just did what I said. And there's some nuancy things. And Uh, and it takes a minute. We have one of the concepts is forward in faith.
What does
Like,
that mean? What's your
ult-
concept with that?
well, ultimately, I got to move. Like, think about my resilience. So here's the rundown. Our meaning and purpose is found in community. Okay, our meaning and purpose are found in community, and it's community that drives our spirituality. Okay, so the what we ultimately give you is spiritual resilience. So that's the animating force that drives us to meaning and purpose. There's a little layered kind of run out on that. But in order for me to build my resilience, it's like any muscle. I got to practice using it. So ultimately, this is all good. But what we want to do is to be more resilient. I got to move through some of the dark spots in myself. Like, what makes me uncomfortable? What don't I want to do? Maybe that's what you do got to do. Because in the other side of that darkness, so faith is an idea that has no reason or logic. So I have faith I'm going to put out a fire. I have faith that, you know, uh, I'm going to fill in the blank. Anything you're going to do is uncertain. How do I step into the unknown with greater meaning and purpose?
Which is
That's the key.
something that's the key. How can people do that right now, right? Because so many people are so unsure and there's in so much unknown and fear, especially we got the election coming up. We got so
Yeah.
much shifts going on. Like how can they walk in the fear, in the unknown, gracefully with the most, you know what I mean? With, I don't know what the word I'm searching for, with the most grace, I guess, and the most happiness and continue on with their lives.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. There's a difference between happiness and joy.
Mm.
I want to point this out right now.
Wow.
Happiness, I think, is based on what happens to us. I think that's almost like the root of the word, right? I feel like you're wandering around waiting for something to happen. Oh, now I'm happy, or now I'm happy over here. Or when this happens, I'll be happy. So we kind of look at it differently. Like joy is like an inward thing. My joy is that
That's
I'm out
flowing
here
on the
to
screen.
heal other people. My joy is that I'm going to be on the one end of this thing that comes right back to me. The more people I heal, the more I'm healed. The
Yeah.
more people I create community with, the greater I'm empowered. So how I do it is like breathe in, breathe out, and here I go. Watch out, world. I'm about to heal and empower a lot of people because it's going to fuel me.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? Is pick up the phone, send an email, walk outside and say hi to people. I got a dog. It's easy for me to walk around and say, hi, how you doing? Yo, what's up?
What's
Hey, what's up?
up?
Pat, what's up, Donna? What's up, Eleanor? Remember people's names. Put something in your phone that says, I'm going to text 10 people today. Just one simple text. Pick out their people. Hey, I'm thinking about it. I just wanted to say hi. I want to let you know I'm supporting you. Oh, I mean, there's so many steps. How can you connect with the people around you? But knowing that we're all busy, just find the time to text them.
Just find the time to text them and check in on people right now because people are, again, there's a lot of mental health stuff going on. There's everything
Yeah.
going. How have you, because I know you've been nervous about the election and and whatever's moving on. How have you been able to stay calm, stay serene, stay okay?
Right. Are you asking me
Yeah, I'm asking
how
you.
am I
I'm
able to?
asking you.
Well, I have my ups and downs. It's like I think the interesting part of where we're at, and we talked about this before we went live, is about all the ups and downs of the people. My serenity is, I can't change the world. I can only change my relationship to it.
Oh, wow.
So I can't change if Donald Trump gets elected. I'm not a Trump guy. Uh,
Me either. And
but
that's
or
something I want to talk about because a lot of people, and I guess it goes both ways, right? Because Trump supporters feel like it's the end of the world if Joe Biden gets in. So, again, I just interrupted you, but how can people move forward in their lives and I guess accept either way what's going to happen? So, what's going to happen is going to happen.
Well, I think and I want to be clear. I don't know about about accepting it because I think democracy is like, I think right now there's a lot at play
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
but I,
Absolutely.
I think what's going on with Trump is, we talk about being a person of character and creating an obligation to it, and I want to create an obligation to community. And people are like, hey, what do you think about him? I'm like, does he feel like he has an obligation to community, or does he feel like the community has an obligation to him? So you answer that. You do your own personal math. I'm not
Yeah.
out here to tell people who to vote for, but vote for Biden. Um, but what I am here to say is, um, he just doesn't have the right math. He doesn't have. There's some underlying thing there. So my point is, he represents everything I think we don't want to be. I think he represents the worst of ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if it's about accepting it. I guess accepting is a better. I'll use your word for a second. I think I'll go with it.
I
Yeah,
just
like
love that word
whatever the
because it's
election is.
accepting equals powerlessness when I can't, because I did my part. I voted, but I can't control what happens after the day after, you know?
Right,
So you have
right.
to
So
accept it, right? I mean, that's acceptance.
you're right. You're right. I have to say, like, he is the president, but I look back at times in our history when things weren't going well. Like, look at the
I
civil
know.
rights movement, how
I
long
know.
and hard they had to struggle. I mean,
I
those
know.
folks were like literally dying,
I know.
literally getting the crap beat out of them. It wasn't some innuendo or somebody said somebody posted an awful meme about them. Boo hoo. I mean, these are people getting the crap beat out of them and not striking back. So there's a lot to be said. The past gives me a peace of mind. Where I find my peace of mind is like our country's built on struggle.
Yeah. Wow.
Our country's built on people. So it's okay to be like, okay, this is where we're at. Settle into this where we're at. Now, what can you do to help change it?
Yeah.
Close your laptop, walk outside, and go put a shoulder into it. Democracy is an audience participation number, and you got to participate.
You got to
And
participate.
so voting is one big thing. Tomorrow, everyone vote. Everyone vote. That's a super incredible thing that we get to vote to choose the leader of the free world. That's kind of cool, right? You want to make sure your vote counts. Hopefully, it does.
Yeah.
And then when you're on the other side of it, like, okay, whatever it is, it is. So that's where it is. Let the dust settle. Get your grieve on, if whatever. But now, how do we move forward? And the bigger problem I have is it's not about how we won. You suck. Because I think that's the problem that led us to Trump being here. Is there's a big part of our country that feels disenfranchised in one way or another.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people have a blind spot that vote for Trump that they don't see maybe the problems with like people who are marginalized in our country, LGBT community, people of color, poor people. They don't get it. Women. I mean, as
Let me
sad as
ask
it
you
is to
this, and
say,
I think for a lot of things when people don't get it, right? So they're lacking empathy. They don't have empathy. So,
yeah,
is it just like you know what I mean? I think that's and that's the crazy thing. And so people choose, right, to turn a blind eye and not be empathetic for other people's struggles. When the truth is, we all have these horrible struggles. We all have, and that's part of the
yeah.
podcast in general is to highlight of every nationality, person, whatever gender, to show that we're all the same person. We're all souls. We all have this pain, and we're all walking through this. And that's just one thing I wish people could just find in 2020 and understand that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point is the empathy. But I think what's going on right now, it's not so much that I'm right, it's that you have to be wrong. So one side or the other is claiming the moral high ground. And I think there's powers at play behind all this stuff. So if you're voting Republican or Democrat and you're on the other side of that, that person's evil. That person's doing America harm.
How did we get here?
And
In
I kind
general, in
of think we've always
democracy,
been
like
here.
how did we have always been here? What president was it many years ago? Someone once told me that, I mean, always said that this was going to happen when we got a two-party system or whatever, right?
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but I mean, I think if you go backwards in history, like everybody from the dawn of like our country, when the country was created, there was, a third of the country was for hang with Britain, a third of the country was against it, and a third of the country just kind of hung in the middle, and whichever side was winning, they were hopping in on the other side. So I think as we've gotten further along, what's going on is the mass media that gets paid to billions of dollars to manage your attention and put an idea in your head. And it's easier to make people afraid and angry. I mean, that's how our brains work. So that's an easy thing to do. That takes a boop. But to make people hopeful takes a big,
Yeah.
hard pull.
Yeah.
So I think what's going on so people have always been kind of in this way, but the politics have been divisive and people find narratives that to divide us around race, color, religion. I'm always like, wait a minute, why should I hate somebody? I'm trying to get this why should I not like that person? If you
Right?
really stop and think about it, it's like I used to be a Star Trek fan, and there's this episode where one guy's face was black and then white, and the other guy was white then black, and they were at each other's throats because they saw each other as totally evil, and it was this eternal struggle for these people. And I'm like, they're more the same. Like, there's more changes, or there's no difference between you and me. That's the thing. We're all part of a collective whole when you believe in
The
community.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question you need to ask yourself is, who falls outside your circle of love and why?
And
Who's telling
why?
you to hate that person?
Yeah.
So
And
I
most of the
kind of
time,
feel like,
the hate is not that, it's that they don't affect your life. Do you know what I mean? So why hate, right? The things that you hate on the people, gay, male, all that, it's not affecting your life. And that's just bringing more hate to you and drawing more hate to you and aligning you with that. And hate is a very low vibrational energy.
yeah, yo, low vibration. Go
Yo,
be
low
all low
vibration,
vibration, kid.
low
You know.
vibration.
So it was interesting. Like, I saw this thing and I talked about it where, because it was like, oh, Republicans are this or Trumpers are this. I'm like, look, whatever. There's a percentage of Trumpers who are totally like that. There's a percentage of those folks who voted Republican who just have a blind spot to people of color or LGBTQ because, there's a concept metaculture and monoculture. They just weren't exposed to it. They just don't understand it. And the place where they're going for their narrative is giving them a false narrative around it. So
Yeah.
I'm not giving them a free pass, but understanding that there's people get, if you're not managing your attention, someone's managing it for you. When I
Yeah.
click on YouTube, I'll be damned. They just gave me 10,000 more videos than the one I just clicked on. Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting, right? And if I'm not paying attention, I go down the click hole of like, what's going on here? But it's all like, oh, you like this? Here's more of it. So you got to really be paying attention to the powers at play. So you kind of don't believe the hype of it. And um, for me, it's understanding like how we got here is like the bigger part is like, it's not the media, but it's a generalized way that we get manipulated into this. So I think we got to have the people who are the white supremacists as people of color got more rights, like their rights have been diminished, their whiteness has been diminished. So what are we feeding them that's redemptive? The only one feeding them is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is, if you don't decide not to take care of those people, I guarantee you in another couple of years they'll be back again with a different version of Donald Trump that can be
Mm.
even more toxic.
Yeah.
I think we just need to take care of everybody in our
That's
country and
right.
understand like what's going on with these folks. Help them out, man. Find a way. Start a dialogue. We could do it.
Start a dialogue and merging and create empathy, right? And
Yeah.
like more like teaching them to empathize with what the rest of the world really is. We're a collective of all these people that are all beautiful shapes, energies, colors, religions.
It is, and I think it's, well, I don't know about, the only thing I would say, I think you're right, but it's like meeting them where they're at. And I think we're so dismissive of where these folks are at.
How do we meet
And
someone where they're at when they're coming from? So I guess what I'm saying, how do we meet someone where they're at when they're coming from a place of, like, I don't want to meet them where they're at. You know what I mean? I'm way above their perception and I'm not going to lower it. So how do we meet them where they're at?
well, meet them as,
White
again,
supremacists we're talking about, just FYI.
well, that's extreme. And maybe like
Yeah.
there's people that are beyond help, but there's other people, like apples make apple trees. I remember this one guy at one of my old fire stations. I was like, damn, that guy's racist. Like, oh, you should have seen his dad. He's like
Wow.
racist like compared to his dad. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So I guess what I'm saying is understand the circumstances that make them who they are. And instead of diminishing it, like understanding it for a second. And so maybe it gives them a little understanding of them, because I do feel like people want to be loved. I don't care who you
Yeah,
are. I'm
everyone
sure
does want to be
Hitler was
loved.
nice to somebody, you know? Um, and again, I don't want to use Hitler. Sorry for everybody.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
offend
a
anybody on this
horrible
one.
reference. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But I'm saying like we don't live in a moral vacuum. Like people like don't, and like they're created to be who they are. They're fashioned by what happens in their community. So
Their
maybe understanding
community
like
and their
understanding
childhood.
understanding their community more, like what made them that. So get out in front of that and then say like, how can we change things? Education, right? Poor people are poor people. I don't care if they're black, white, Latino, whatever. Like, why are there why is there such a disparity around wealth in our country?
Yeah,
You know,
why
that's
is that?
interesting to me. Why do some people get great educations because they have the money, and other people get shitty educations?
Which should be the
I would
opposite.
think, yeah, I would think we want everyone to have really great education because if if based on what I'm saying is any monicum of truth, it wouldn't make sense that like if we gave them better education to start, they wouldn't end up this way. So why don't we start understanding what's making them the socio factors, behavioral factors make them who they are, and like getting out in front of those. And that's what I'm talking about, meeting people where they're at, like understanding what their environmental factors that made them them,
Yeah.
and don't dehumanize that person along the way. So one of the things I'm going to say, one thing that I didn't like is I saw a meme of like these are the Trump people or something like that. It was some guy who was really overweight with a MAGA hat on backwards, so you only saw the back of him, and he's sitting in front of his laptop. And so basically, we're just body shaming somebody. That's what's funny about it. It was like, oh, because he's fat, he's overweight, that we should make fun of that person. I was like, whoa, man. And I saw all these posts and people
Yeah.
were like, yeah, ha, ha. That's what all those Trumpers are like, ha ha. But these are the same people telling you Republicans are mean.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it's both sides. We see that,
Yeah.
it's both
We got
sides.
to
We
look at
see that.
ourselves.
I think that's
We got to
huge.
take a hard look at ourselves.
And I loved what you said, and we're getting near the end of the line, the end of the live is, and I think people should take that and think about it every day. Is like we have a circle of love, right? Our energy forces
Right.
are around us, circling all over, and we have a circle of love, and so, and that's the highest vibration. That's where you should be coming from. So why are you stepping out of that vibration to go hate on someone, right? Like, and hate on something simply because of who they are, what they look like, who they love. That's a really hateful place. And I don't, like you said, I don't think people a lot of times see that. They don't see you can't see what you don't know, right? You can't see what you're saying and what you're not perceptive. So take that if you're listening, like take that on this whole week. Like if I step out, you know what I mean? Why am I stepping
Yeah.
out of my circle of love?
Right.
The circle of love.
That's a good way to look at it. And so, getting where you fit in, like Buddha says, find what works for you and disregard everything else. Maybe he said it, or maybe I'm making it up. I don't know, but he should have said it if he didn't. Okay. Um, and so I'm like, whatever it is going to power you through that moment is what you should be thinking about. So I kind of look at it like we're all connected. Like and that's the way I see it. Like an eye
We're
can
all
look at a
connected.
nose and say we do different things, and therefore we're not connected, but we are. We're all connected, and we all look differently, but we're one collective whole. What I'm saying is, you would never think to hack off your pinky because it's whack or it's sore or it's giving you pain. You're like, oh, let me heal this thing because it's part of me, And then
Yeah.
it's like there's that thing, like some of our parts, like we got assholes too, and if you couldn't poop or pee, you'd be dead. So think about some of the parts of our bodies and look at it in our community. I'm not trying to equate people with those parts of our body, but sometimes it's like the way we look at people is really interesting. Instead of just saying, hey, like I need that to be part of a functioning society, I need all different opinions. It's called fusion of horizons. Go look it up. It's a great term, a philosophical term. Like we need different horizons to kind of create a whole to get a better perspective. I need all those perspectives. Maybe I'm not seeing something the right way. But if we're building a solid ground of community, then it's okay for us to disagree because
Yeah.
we're still brothers and sisters at the end of the day. So find a way, man. Humanize one more person. In Judaism, there's a term called tikkun olam, that our purpose is to heal the world. I love that.
I love that.
So I'm taking it with me today. I'm taking it with me tomorrow.
Say
Like
it
my
again.
purpose is
Can
to
you
heal
say
the world.
say it one more time?
Sorry, I got teary eyed on that one. That's
Aw.
called tikkun olam.
Tikkun olam.
So yeah, we're gonna heal the world. So that's our mandate.
And
So I was born a Jew, and that's kind of what this is what you should be doing. Heal the world.
heal the world. And so one of the things I want to say and end with this, and hopefully you can help give some people hope, because I have clients and everyone, again, I go back to is in the state, and I want to say we're in a revolution right now in so many different ways. We're in an energy time hop, and we need great change. People have wanted great change on so many levels, personally, collectively, big, and we forget that there is a horrible collapse, right? A horrible takedown. And so right now, so many people are just stuck in that takedown. Again, seeing like it's never going to get better, and everything shifts. That's why I'm trying to tell people everything shifts,
Yeah.
and there will be a shift. So I just want you to give our listeners, because you have lots of hope, a story of hope and how we're going to shift out of this and we're going to heal together as a country. It's going to take a while, right? It's not definitely, it's going to get worse after tomorrow, and then it's going to take, right? But share some hope with that.
Yeah. You want a hopeful story?
I want a hopeful story. Let's end on a hopeful story.
Well, let me tell you. So here's what I look at the end of the day. Like, starting where for me and my problems and where we're all at. We all have, like, we can't escape our shadow. None of us can outrun our past. That's a fact. But what we can do is find the light within us. And it's some of us, it's a little spark, but we can just stoke those flames and get them going and shine our light on other people who are still stuck in the shadows. And in doing so, that light inside you burns even brighter. So by helping other people who are stuck, and there's a lot of us who are stuck, we're going to find a way out for ourselves. That's the reciprocal relationship we live in community. So, like, join me in this spiritual frontier. Everything is awesome out there. We're all sacred.
We're all
The
sacred.
people we meet, all the places we go. Walmart, you didn't think spirituality can exist in Walmart, but that's where we need it most. And you're the person who could do it. Lift your lamp and shine your light and make someone's day better. And you're making us all better in the process.
You're making it all better. And again, you're finding your love. And I ask you guys to take tomorrow, to take the next week, right? No matter what, 50% of you're not going to be happy with how tomorrow goes. And instead of, coming out in depression, hate, anger, find a way that you can express love to someone, and maybe express love to someone you wouldn't normally express love to, or come on and listen to the first 50 episodes of the first season of the Hair Healer podcast. And there's tons of different stories of people that you wouldn't normally listen to and find compassion, understanding, and know the different walks of life, because that's what we have to do. We have to merge together. We have to have these uncomfortable conversations of merging together, and we need to all learn to come from a place of love and peace. Say it again. What was the saying you said? Heal the world?
Oh, heal the world and heal yourself.
Yeah, but how do you say it in non-English?
Tikkun Olam.
How to say it again?
Tikkun Olam.
Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam. Yeah. This has been amazing live. Again, like the first episode, if you guys want to hear what, you like what you heard, go back to the very first podcast episode, which I did with David Wurtzel at Capriati Salon. And it's so funny. Here we are a year later doing this live, about to take off. So I knew I needed him on this live show. And that episode actually ended up going an hour and 20 minutes. And this has gone well over an hour. So I knew we could just keep going. And I knew you'd bring that faith and that hope with it.
Yeah.
Tell everyone.
Join me. Let's do it together.
Let's do it. Tell everyone where they can find you if they're interested in what you do, your road to resilience.
Yeah, you can go to theroadtoresilience.org or go to thefirst20.com. So it's where I'm for the nonprofit, and you can find me there. Or actually go to davewurtzel.com. You can find me there too. 3 different places. Whatever you feel like typing in. davewurtzel.com, Road to Resilience, or the First 20.
That's that Libra in you. You have to make sure that everyone knows how to find you in every little way. Just the control.
You never have enough places in.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I love you. I love your family. Tell Galena, Billy, and Mona I said hello. Tell Narberth, my little town, I miss you guys. I love you.
Yeah, we miss you too.
And everyone, listen, go find love tomorrow. No matter what happens, go the rest of the week and find love. Mwah. Bye.
I love you too. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, Colin. Bye.